Well, hello everyone. We are on to, I believe, our last of 3 daily challenges to get our card backs. I'm not usually very excited to do the Pokemon level collect them all things for most games, unless it's a game that I really like, and this happens to be one of them. So let's get one of our card backs unlocked. Enemy units get haste, which means our second floor is crap, because we won't even be able to kill things on the first floor that give enemies haste. So in a lot of cases there are monsters that have an enchant in the back line that give the other units haste, and if you kill that one, then they'll still progress up to the second floor. Looks to me like the second floor just doesn't exist to us. Everybody will take some spell damage extra, enemy units that is, and all units, including looks like enemy units, will enter with lifesteal 3. So we've got a little bit of extra lifesteal to sustain some of our early units. And we're looking at Primordium this time, which is the alternate Umbra. And the primary, it's our alternate clan, but it's the standard side of Melting Remnant, so we get dregs instead of the reform guys. So Primordium is going to be an interesting one. We'll get to see its upgrades for the first time in not a regular run, but that's okay. We are given an Immortal Trade, a Wicklash, and a Cave-In. So one of the cool things about Wicklash, and an interesting thing, is because it applies plus 10 damage, Primordium feeds its stats into a target. So if we Wicklash the Primordium, it actually gives our other units even more stats. So that's kind of nice to have. May or may not come up on every battle, but it'll certainly be, something. So Buffet is a thing that you haven't seen before, because we haven't played this champion before, and it's the only card that has it on there, and that allows it to be eaten multiple times. So the upgrade for Stalwart Snack is that it goes from 3 to 5. The upgrade for Aggressive Edible is that it goes from 3 to 10 damage. I like this one. I like the possibility of getting our edible guy back. Yeah, that's about it. Plus, we may be looking to try to burn our guy out so that we can reform him. Because if he gets eaten for the last time, he doesn't come back. But if he gets eaten twice and then dies on the third turn, you could reform him and then bring him back out for things to keep eating on him. So you could actually technically get more than just three feedings off on him. I'm sure. This is extra damage. It's not bad. Enemies enter with spikes 3 is going to kill a lot of our units. That's okay. I think what we can do is we can do something like put our Train Steward on top and let the Primordium feed him a couple of times so he's got a little bit of extra health by the time it matters. And we can put this guy here, and that should kill, yeah, that'll kill the backline unit, because when he dies, the 5 damage from Exploding Candle will take this nonsense out. Cool. From here, it's really just a question of if you want to go ahead and Immortal Trade now. I don't think so. The Ember Drain 2 makes it to where we can't really cast any spells next turn, and I would like to be able to cast Wicklash if it comes up, so. Oh, right, our middle floor doesn't exist. Boy, that's weird. Okay. Well, let's do this. No, we didn't get it. We can Wicklash our front unit twice, and that will guarantee that the collector dies. And this guy would have more stuff. I would like to normally Wicklash this guy, but I don't think that's the option we get if we want the collector bonus. So, I'm good there. Well, I can do this, and that'll kill the backline unit so that he can still get eaten. Right, and then we can put this guy out, we can put this guy out, we can put this guy out, and then we can go ahead and just put more trading on him. I think we're in fine shape. Yeah, obviously we lose 2 of our energy from the immortal trade that we already played, but we can look to like do another one here because the Ember Drain doesn't take effect until the beginning of our next turn, and they'll all be dead by then. So 4 and 4 immediately kills this guy. So there really isn't a way for us to do any extra damage with this one, so we will just have to Wicklash this guy, which will get 1 turn of extra damage on him. But unfortunately, the Immortal Trait doesn't actually give us any bonuses because 8 health is not enough to survive these 2 guys. What I should have done is put him in the middle so that he dies. Well, he will die after this round and take that guy out, so this does get a chance to hit twice, so that's good. Yeah, there we go. Okay, and he's only doing 56 damage right now because he's going to burn out this turn, so let's do that, and then all of a sudden we win. We can also, put him Immortal Trade and put this guy in front, all that kind of nonsense. None of that means any real difference because we were already going to win. Space Prism seems fine. We've got a fat unit that we'd like to stick behind a good unit. Molding a unit seems really great. We don't have any source of reform right now. Let's just get that in there right on the beginning. Let's get ourselves a unit to put Primordium behind. And that unit is going to be an Umbra unit because Gorge is great. Well, that's not the Gorge we wanted, but it's the Gorge we got, so there we go. I would much rather have the lifesteal, but this is okay. 20 magic power and consume seems super fine for Plinks. -1 seems super fine for Cave-In, which we might effectively want sometimes, because that could actually move things from the top floor down to the middle floor, but that moves our units too, so maybe we don't really care about that one. Let's just make Molded free, so we can always cast it if we want to, and then look to, get rid of another Plink by proxy. We've talked about that one before. Hold over. Hold over. Well, we could put that on Molded and we could put that on Woodclash, and both of those are strong options. Let's do it on Molded, and that way we can just sort of always do that. And we'll put a -1 on Woodclash so we can always do that. Excuse me. Looking pretty strong for our lack of real units. That guy has 40 health, so we'll need to kill it with 40 damage, which we can pretty easily do. So here's an example of where if we Wicklash this guy on the first turn, he only lasts for 2 turns to be eaten, and then we can reform him, which is super great. Oh, they have spell weakness, so that does even more damage. That's great. That's great. So we don't need more damage. We really need more health since he's only providing 20 damage per eat, but he's only providing 3 health per eat. So I think we'd rather have this, and then we probably don't worry about this coming back around. Just put it here. Seems fine. Okay. Well, put that guy there. That's fine. Put this guy here to die and take out those guys, and that means that this guy, nobody else will do any damage because they'll die as soon as that guy dies. So I could put something like a Train Steward behind it and do a little bit more damage. That thing's dead, and this thing burns out. I'm not. Let's see if he gets eaten before he burns out. He does buffet and then burn out. That's cool. That is what we would hope for. We can also plink this guy out of existence and give ourselves another unit. Seems nice. Put this guy here, we can put this guy here, and we can, I don't know, upgrade that guy to have Whiplash for no apparent reason, and let's just like make sure that we don't redraw that guy. Cool. And now we can look to get our Primordium back. Notice that he also gets +5/+5. He only gets burnout 1, but he'll get eaten and provide even more benefits for this one turn than he would previously on the last turn of his existence. And we could even do something like Whiplash him so that he automatically has another 10, but I think I'd rather reform him again next turn because it has holdover. So we're getting molded back. This guy is dying, so we can just reform him again, and that seems honestly a little stronger. At that point, probably what we want to do is upgrade this guy to do as much damage and lifesteal as possible, which doesn't really buy us any more turns, but it does mean that he does a fair bit of damage on the turn that he was there. Okay, we already win. Let's win harder. We like winning harder. That seems fun. And then obviously we can Whiplash this guy, and now all of a sudden he's doing 40 damage himself, which seems funny. Yeah! Alright. Off we go. Killed by a morsel. How embarrassing for that boss right there. We have very little money. I also don't think we care. I also don't think we care about morsels, as our primary means of feeding is going to be putting a Whiplash on this guy and then letting him burn out. We could daze particular units. I don't know that we need to. Getting a second molded could be useful. Getting a fatal melting could be useful. We have very little in the way of damage right now, except for our 2 planks that will go away, and then another plank that we're probably going to get rid of at some point. So fatal melting is a means for us to do some level of damage. It does solve a problem, not necessarily the sexiest way, but it does solve one, so we'll go for it. Morsel Maker seems fine. I don't think we need it. A lot of times what it does is it just junks up that top row after we play it, and then we can't re-put the other guy out there. I think we just take the Lady of the Reformed for the bottom row and use that as our tank for the bottom. We'll upgrade her. We can always reform her if she dies, so that seems pretty good. Let's get another one of these. Neither of these mean anything to us right now. Multi-strike seems awesome for this guy because he's going to be absolutely pummeling people, and giving him some extra health so he doesn't immediately blow up seems like it's a very good idea. Obviously our bottom floor is suffering a little bit because she's only a 1040, but if she dies we'll just bring her back. Ember deposits. We can get some, looks like 1 extra energy per turn at the cost of just sort of having some Vengeful Shards sitting around. I don't know that we're even using the energy that we've got right now, although we could look to get some expensive stuff and make that worth it. We can also do these just to get some spiels later, so like we would look to wait for these to upgrade themselves into Refined Ember, I think is what they're called. It's a 0-cost consumable spell that gives you 2 Ember and 1 draw. And at that point when you draw it, it basically cantrips itself so that the draw that it costs you to get, it refunds by immediately giving you another card, and then it also gives you 2 Ember on top of that. But once again, kind of Ember that we don't care about, and kind of we want to just roll through and get Whiplashes. So I'm actually thinking we don't take either of these. Well, no, this one's fine. This one's fine. Okay. We have no money, so even though we would like to do more upgrades, we can't. That's okay. Not often are you going to get the ability to do every single thing that you want. Okay, so that thing's going to blow up, and I think we just let that happen. Put the Crucible Warden out. This is one of the reasons why we had the extra 25 health on him. And we can put the Primordium out. and start buffing him up. At that point, we can look to see if we care about doing any of the silly Whiplash nonsense later. Not going to be as necessary here, due to the fact that he will be fully eaten by the time. So if we put Whiplash on him right now, he will not actually burn out next turn, I think. But we can try. Always worth a try. I like trying things. Trying things is cool. We have no units to try this with, so let's just put him in front. And we will put this guy here to get blown up so that he doesn't get redrawn. And I don't think we want to redraw Molded right now because it's not going to be helpful for the next 2 turns. Yeah. And if it comes back up, it comes back up, and if not, I'm kind of okay with that. Alright, so it says eaten here, so when he gets eaten for the last time, that's sort of just it. So we can just go ahead and apply another Whiplash to him. That way he at least gets 80 times 2, and then he's just super overpowered. We can plink a couple of times down here. That seems good. We can put our Dreg in front so that it does some extra damage there, and we can obviously put this here to give ourselves just a little bit of boost in damage. Although the damage boost there is obviously quite a bit less than the 30 damage we got from the Morsel Dinghy. Putting this guy in front does some interesting things. Where he tanks both of those hits, this thing will actually get in there. But if we actually do this, then we do additional information. Oh no, somehow that doesn't. Oh, because that blows up the thing. Well, that's fine. That's fine. It does 9 damage. I don't think we complain too hard about that. Let's go ahead and get rid of our plinks. Let's go ahead and provide her with some more things to do. I like her getting hit here. It only takes 2 of her actual health, and it gives her 6 more burnout. We get rid of another Train Steward. And at this point, honestly, we can do this just to say we did it. Okay. That thing gets haste for no reason. That's good. Let's start buffing her. And we can... I mean, technically, we could just put a Train Steward back here. It doesn't mean anything. It's not going to get any bonuses from her, but it's also not going to do anything terrible. You know, honestly, we can move these guys down and just say, hey, this whole floor is now overloaded and all that kind of nonsense. Seems fun. Just rely on getting something cool next turn. Yeah, so if we do Immortal Trade here, she lasts for another turn or 2, and we can actually like Whiplash the guy behind her, and or this guy in the back or whatever, and every time she gets hit, he'll get another burnout stack, which will do an additional 10 damage per turn. So that's pretty nice, and we win from off of that, and then this guy will very happily take all the rest of this nonsense out. And let's just make him feel better. You know. Cool. Yeah! Killing the boss with Train Stewards. Get some. Oh, he killed her and died to the explosion from our exploding candle. Wow. That's somewhat unlikely from the 5 damage that it deals to be the actual boss killer, but that is how the math works. Sometimes. Okay, so Retch is our other insurance policy. So if we can't Whiplash our Primordium, we can Retch him back. So this is fantastic. This gives us pretty much exactly what we want to just continually have one of those guys out. So that's cool. We don't need any of these. Obviously, we already have a big unit up top. I'm okay with putting a Paraffin Enforcer behind the silly lady. And then I think we probably got enough energy. Let's just take some draw. those refined embers are gonna give us a little boost sometimes, make us do a little bit more. Even though we don't need the pyro remains, I like the idea of going ahead and removing 2 train stewards or 2 of something else. 2 train stewards probably, maybe 1 plank. Let's do 1 plank, 1 train steward. Cool, because any 10 health or 10 bonus damage things are going on the fatal melting. We can remove buff effects on an enemy unit when it enters your train, and we can gain 7 on the first turn of battle. That seems both pretty equivalent in terms of like overall usefulness, but I will say that the 7 on the first turn gives us the possibility of getting a couple of pretty funny units if we chose to do that. Let's do this. I think this is more widely applicable though. That obviously doesn't mean anything, and then we can look to say, add this unit's attack damage, health, and status effects. So that would mean that the status effects, meaning the lifesteal, will get pushed through, which is super cool. And then we can do aggressive on the final one just to make him do a lot of damage. I think we're real happy with that, actually. Our unit is looking pretty. We didn't get the unit that we wanted, and that's okay. We're going to go ahead and give him burnout, because now he will give himself rage when he has burnout. And we were always guaranteed to get this. We were mostly guaranteed to get this. Question is if we want to go ahead and use it. I think yes, let's go ahead and do that. We can go ahead and give him another stack of whatchamacallit. That thing is in fact already dead. Great. And these guys are both dead. That's okay. That's okay. We're going to have a lot of energy next turn. Okay. Very good. This guy's not dying, which is a little unfortunate, but that's okay. Let's go ahead and put a dreg here to die. And we can get some eaten units back in hand to give ourselves some more energy for no reason. And we have no dead units, so there's no reason to care about that. Okay, so this guy's getting eaten. I don't want to put Whiplash on him anymore because we have a Wretch, and because he passes on his status effects, he would pass on the Burnout, and that would be bad. So, as a result, what we want to look to do is figure out a way to blow up the enemy units without them getting up to the core. And that, I think we can do in a couple of different ways. So the first way is we can put a drag out in the back and give him Whiplash, and that does an additional 19 damage. That is the sort of least sexy but probably most effective way of doing it. So now he's really close, and then this guy should push it over. Yeah, they're all dead now. Everything going on there pretty much as expected, and nothing can really occur here, so that's fine. I would like to descend my guys here, but that is not an option, unfortunately. Okay. So these guys are not dead. But what we can do is we can Whiplash this guy, and then they are dead. And what we can go ahead and do is recognize that all of our spells that we really care about, i.e. Molted and Wretch, are 0 cost, so we can go ahead and put lots and lots of this on there, and then push these two guys down the floor. Okay, so molded can get exactly 1 unit, which is a drag, so I don't care about that. Instead, what I really care about is let's get drag back, or primordium back, sorry, and then we'll continue to buff this guy. I'll put these guys here for no reason. And he is simply going to exist to accept the edible nature of those things. We already win on the bottom floor, having put 12 lifesteal on her. That's a huge amount. That gives her basically 12 rounds of invulnerability, and everybody else is getting a super amount of rage just from existing, so quite nice, quite nice. I think we can pretty easily take an Ember Forge. I don't know that we need to, but that would be a way to give us a extra 2 energy per turn, putting that on the middle floor, and nobody will ever go there because it's got haste. So this guy can sit there pretty steadily, giving us 2 energy per turn until the boss battle. Once again, though, I don't think we need it. We're not getting to a point where we care about the spells that we can't cast. Like, we can't cast Cave In, but we weren't doing that most of the time anyway. We can't cast Fatal Melting, and like, well, maybe might be nice to do that occasionally, but that being said, it's our only utility spell to put on the middle floor, so like maybe. That doesn't feel awful. Doesn't feel great. I mean, sure. It's a daily challenge. It doesn't mean anything. Remnant Host is a fun way to get a ton of little units to do lots of damage, but only when you have harvest bonuses, and we don't, so I think we skip that. I think we skip Sacred Wicks because we have a renewable source of that. And Wax and Spike, of course, is a great way for us to just kind of burn some energy and make our bottom floor, regardless of whether they started with burnout or not. We can give them all burnout, and then the frontliner will give everybody more burnout. So I think Wax and Spike is a pretty good take here. Similarly speaking, as soon as this guy gets burnout, obviously, we already talked about this, the fact that his strike applies Rage 3 to only friendly burnout units. He is friendly to himself, so if we give him burnout via either Wick Lash or Wax and Spike, he will rage himself, which is good. That means more damage. But also, if we happen to use our Cave In to push Train Stewards down there, then he'll start giving them rage too, which is great. Hey, this is what we talked about. Our calcified embers go into excavated embers, which actually give us energy and draw us a card, which is super nice. So those are no longer blights in our deck. So we had to go through 2 battles basically with some dead draws, but now we don't have them anymore, and they're just good. We don't need the Pyro Remains here, and we do need the Unsealed Vortex, so we're just going to go this way. Obviously, our Train Stewards are pretty handily the worst cards in our deck. Dregs are interesting to us just because they can either explode with Exploding Candle, or they can be buffed by the Paraffin Enforcer. Isn't Paraffin Enforcer right? What's his name? Yeah, Paraffin Enforcer. So they're fine. They're fine. Alright, let's see what the Concealed Caverns has for us. The Concealed Caverns has for a place for us to do damage to ourselves. Let's do it. Give me an artifact. Give me an artifact. Give me an artifact. Please, please, please. Grant +3 stacks of burnout each time it is applied. Okay, that's cool. So that's going to allow us to mostly just use all of our burnout stuff on the bottom. We'll use all our wretch stuff up top. Great. At the start of battle, summon a morsel miner on each floor. Seems fine. Once again, that's just sort of +5/+5 on this unit and this unit, and we're always pretty much okay with that. So middle floor isn't going to get anything useful in that front, but we're also okay with that. So I think we're pretty close to being done purging. We really just have a Train Steward left, so let's look and see if there's... so we probably want to go to the Merchant of Magic here anyway, just to make things cheaper, unless we want to Hellvent something. But at that point, because we're going here, we don't need to purge our train steward. We'll probably purge a train steward and a dreg if we're being honest, or maybe a train steward and an immortal trade. The immortal trade is rapidly becoming a card that we really don't care about spending the cost on. I mean, it's fine. It gives us lifesteal, and our Ember Drain doesn't matter because once we get our units out, everything is free. We can make this free, we can make this free, and I don't think we care about casting it even when we have no mana, and we can make this free. So all these things push us towards kind of leaving the immortal trades in there and starting to get rid of anything else that doesn't add fight damage to us. So we either want stuff that buffs our creatures or resurrects them, and that's it. We got everything on the first turn. Great, cool, wonderful. Wicklash can go on a terrain steward if we want it. Seems good. I wonder if Wretch works on these guys. I mean, obviously we can't cast it now anyway, like, right? There's nothing being eaten, and by the end of our turn, nothing will be eaten. But I wonder if it works on this. I don't think it does because they're not from cards. Yeah, it won't appear in any card pile, so that means they can't come back with Wretch. So that's unfortunate. Burnout 5, on the other hand, is hilarious. At which point we could actually look to put it on here because that's going to add so much burnout to him that it won't, like, there's less less rounds of the game than there are potential stacks of burnout that he can get. Once again, we could Wicklash again down here. That seems maybe unnecessary. He's going to get eaten 3 times and get 4 and then 3 more burnout, so he'll get, well, 3 and then 2 effectively because he loses 1 every round, so he'll be up to 12 burnout by the time he's done eating, and at that point there will only be 2 waves remaining, so we're fine. That being said, it does provide, you know, plus 10 damage. So. But what that's going up against is the fact that we can... Let's go ahead and do this. Let's see what we get. Okay, we got that. That's fine. I think what we do is we put the dregs here. We put the Paraffin Enforcer here, right? So that kills the Collector, and we Wicklash him. So now he's got burnout. And then all of a sudden what we're looking at is the possibility of doing just incredible amounts of damage when he gets shifted down with our, whatchamacallit. We're going to hold off on Immortal Trade by 1 turn. I think that's probably, that's the play. Okay, so future thoughts here. We need to do Cave In first so that we can put Ember Forge in there without him getting stuck on the bottom. Okay. Then we can do our last 2 Excavated Embers, which seems fine. And then we can Wax and Spike probably bottom floor. We may want to Plink here just to... these guys have 2 spell shields, so the Plink isn't going to do anything. That's too bad. Okay, well this guy's going to get up and do 11 damage unless we Wax and Spike here. We could Wax and Spike here instead of down at the bottom. In fact, I think that's probably the play. So we do that, and then all of a sudden we're beating this guy super hard. We also look to win down here. That seems good. I think we've also played our last useful spell, so we can now start Immortal Trading this guy and look to just sort of win off of that. We can put Dreg here if we want to. It doesn't change anything, but it gets it out of our hands. Okay. So, a couple of things. We've got a Fatal Melting, which does no damage because we've lost no units, so this may be our other... We put it into our deck, and then we realized that we didn't need it in our deck. And that's okay. But we do want Wretch, and Wretch didn't happen yet. There's nobody to hold over. Nobody's dying this turn. can get rid of this spell just so it doesn't get drawn again. We can put this guy out so he doesn't get drawn again. And I think from there we pretty much just sort of sit and wait for the spells that we care about. A little unfortunate, but it is what it is. Cool, we got Wretch. And we got Wretch on the same turn that we got our Wickless nonsense. So we could technically do that again. That being said, we're already kind of at the point where this floor down here is probably just going to kill the boss. So let's just overload all of this nonsense. We're going to Wicklash the back unit so that he does the absolute most damage. And then we throw away a plank. How did that work? Okay, well, that's fine. We must have done some spell damage to him earlier, or knocked out a spell thing or whatever. Yeah, so we super win. This is a pretty effective deck. By the way, we are not sad to have a reform spell, even though things aren't dying right now. There is absolutely the possibility that if we draw things in different orders, somebody dies and we want to be able to get those guys back. So that is a great insurance policy to have. It only takes up one draw every once in a while. It's super, super handy, and Cannibalize actually goes with it too. Yeah, I just don't have anything bad to say about that, especially because Cannibalize can be used to sort of use dregs as a renewable source of bonus edibles. I mean, I do not have bad feelings about that. Trigger a unit's extinguish ability without killing it. That's normally really good, except that we have no extinguish abilities, so I'm skipping it, but it does make me sad. And then obviously the other two things are doing things that we no longer care about. So yeah, I mean, our deck is getting easier to play as we go because we're getting rid of spells that we realize we don't care about. Cave-In is occasionally useful. I don't think Memento Mori is. Nope, sorry, I don't think Fatal Melting is. We'll get rid of that. We can free whatever we want. These 10 magic power don't do anything that we care about too much. So I think we can save the money. We can upgrade double stack on something like our Wicklash if we really wanted to. But all that really does is it adds 2 burnout and it makes that more expensive. So I'm okay not doing that. And this does not double stack the damage bonus, so I think we skip that as well. Lifesteal 8 is good. Ember Drain 4 is scary, but again, the whole point of this is for us to make everything free. So we're going to keep working on that. What do we really need to be casting? So we've got one Wicklash, that's fine. We can remove another Wicklash if we get to it. Let's make Cannibalize free. And then Cave-In will sometimes cast, sometimes. Let's go ahead and remove our other Immortal Trade now, or do we go ahead and get rid of the other Wicklash? I think getting rid of the other Wicklash is probably where we want to go. Yeah, let's get rid of that. 20 magic power and consume. Would love to put that on the thing, but again, we don't need to. We could put Permafrost on a thing if we cared about it, but I don't think we do, except for maybe Wretch. Wretch having Permafrost means that it gets to sit in our hand until we need it. So that's kind of nice. And then if we're going to purge anything at this point, it's probably Immortal Trade or, honestly, Cave-In. But I think we can just sit on Cave-In. So let's just sit on our money. We can use it better elsewhere, like upgrading units. Probably want to upgrade units before the end of the game, but other than that, we don't care. Fragile seems like an awful idea. Wildwood Tome seems great. Remnant Pact seems pretty cool. Let's do that. We can put that on the bottom floor tank, and then if she dies, we just put her back out. Okay. Pretty good shape. Not the best shape. We are missing our units that we want. Okay, well, Paraffin Enforcer is going to go ahead and go down here. That's fine. Member Forge will go ahead and go here. That's fine. And then we can go ahead and plink down here just to get things out of the way. Right. And if we do this and put our dreg out, then we will do some extra damage there, but the main thing is, A, we don't redraw the dreg, and B, when these two guys get eaten, we still have space for our Reformed Lady. And we do care about that. Okay, Crucible Warden can go up here. Go Gadget, kill everything. I think at this point we probably start just skipping through our deck to get what we want. Cool, there she is. And what else do we have coming up? Anything cool? Yeah, Spike of the Hellhorn. Oh, whoa, we got it. Wax and Spike. That was not the right spike that I was talking about, but that's exactly what I wanted. Burnout 4 seems great, and getting the plus 24 damage immediately on the first turn of this thing being actually eaten, right? Because it was out last turn, but nobody ate it. So we're just going to get stupid amounts of damage if we do that. We can also just do it down here, recognizing that we'll probably kill everything on the bottom floor anyway, but this is funnier. So off we go. Let's do this in there just so we can do some damage to the bus. Alright. So we can start doing dumb things now. Do we have any other spells that cost mana? So we have one Plink which is going to come up with a spell that we can use, and we have a Remnant Pack that's probably going to come up soon too. Why is that dying? Because he has Sweep. Okay. We need to recognize that any spells we cast down here make things more expensive, so let's not do that. But we can cannibalize right here. Boom. That's done. And that gives us a couple more bonusy things we can do there. We can put this guy back, that's no problem. We can go ahead and... I mean, at this point, why not, right? Get wrecked. We have nothing that we care about reforming, to be perfectly honest. And then I think we actually hold off on the immortal trades. We could do it, but I don't want to make things more expensive, and the only things that really need the lifesteal are on the bottom floor. Okay. Yeah, those guys are super dead. She's still doing just fine. Let's go ahead and get her a thing. That guy will be eaten by the end of turn, and we can then ratchet back next turn. So once again, pretty great. We could also just plink here to potentially kill this before he sweeps, which would save some sort of something. Oh, he'll heal back anyway off the boss. So even if he takes the sweep, it's fine. At which point we plink down here. I mean, 6 to 1 happens the other, right? But if we double plink here, then we actually get another 133 damage on the boss, so that's what we look to do. Cool. That is, in fact, exactly what happens, and we are amazed at our own clairvoyance or something. We don't need this anymore, so we might as well go ahead and use it. This can give us, you know, mana. Cave-In sits there and looks pretty. And from now on, everything that we want to cast, like our whole deck is those 7 cards. Which, if you notice, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. It's kind of like all those free commercials. Except that's not free, but we don't use it anyway. So it's fine. So that's where Immortal Trade starts getting used, which is where we're going with that. Now we can go ahead and put out one of these guys so we have something to sacrifice. And also so that you'll get some rage. I mean, that's certainly fine. Okay, if we were worried before about not having enough damage, let me allay your fears with continuing to put Primordium out. Because that is what is happening. Put this guy here, no problem. Down here we have the choice of sacrificing things if we really want to, which I don't think we care. Because this guy has... Oh, you know what? He has not been Wicklashed. Now he has. But we can put Mortal Trade on the front line, and I believe win the game. So... we don't have the space to do a sacrifice play anyway, so I think we'll just skip it. No problem. Okay, that's back in our hand to do whatever we want with. You know, none of this is going to matter. Let's put this out so we don't have to think about it. Let's put this out so we don't have to think about it. It's going to die, but that's fine. That just basically goes in the pile of things that we could hold over and no longer things that we have to retch back. So we like that. And then we don't have any other spells that we want to cast this turn, I think. So let that go. Okay. And we're back to this nonsense again. These guys are super dead, no problem. So we can Wicklash once again here, just to add some extra damage. Our other Wicklash is gone. We got rid of it. There's only one Wicklash. Right. That's fine. We continue to Immortal Trade here. We're losing 11 Ember per turn, by the way, which is fun, because we're only getting 5. So, you know, we have like negative Ember for days. We're going in debt like students. And we don't care even a little bit about that. I'm more and more thinking that Cave-In is just a curse and we don't have to care about it, so that seems fine. Yeah, we are so beyond winning, it doesn't matter. But, you know, because we like the completeness of winning in style, playing out the hand is what we're going to do. Okay. Off we go! Big damage. She still has 31, 30, 29, 28 when she gets the last strike there, or between 29 and 28 stacks of lifesteal, so we had a large number of turns to still be relevant. We would like to give her extra health. I think that's fairly obvious. Kindle doesn't do anything for us. Blazing Bolts doesn't really do anything for us. Furnace Tap is an interesting way for us to sort of like win harder. We can put Furnace Tap on Paraffin Enforcer, and that will double stack the rage that he gives. And we can draw one more for reasons unbeknownst to man. Okay, we got to upgrade units at some point, so we either Merchant of Steel here or a Merchant of Steel here. Do we have anything else we want to get rid of? I think we can pretty easily get rid of one of our Immortal Trades. We can get rid of one of our Dregs. We want to keep Cave-In just because, you know, it exists. So the question is whether or not we want the Forgotten Boons Merchant of Steel here, or if we just do the Merchant of Steel at the last boss. I think that's fine. I think we just do that. And we get the Herzl Sword here for an additional chance at cool artifacts that do things. When a friendly unit dies, apply +10 to that unit. Nobody is dying. However, a 50% chance to apply Dazed when an enemy unit enters your train does save a lot of damage on your front line, but it also means that we won't be getting as many stacks of burnout to everybody else. But she's applying 4 every time she gets hit, and she starts off with 7, so it's kind of whatever. Okay, she only starts out with 6, but like if she doesn't get hit at all for 6 turns, that's a statistical anomaly, and no one is dying for Resin Block to do anything. So I think we just take this, and then we Merchant of Magic. We could remove consume and have that cost +1. I'd rather double stack it because getting one of them in is fine. 10 magic power doesn't matter. -1 we could do on furnace tap just to make sure that we can cast it. Or we could either try to like double stack and permafrost just so it sits there until we're ready to cast it. But I think we're happy enough to just sit and like not cast Immortal Trade until we get a chance to furnace tap. And once we furnace tap, everything else in our deck is free, so that seems fine. So I don't think we need to remove consume. I don't even think we need a -1 on things, to be honest. We could do this, just give an extra +1 there. That seems reasonable, and then we look to see if we can get double stack. Permafrost is there. We could put permafrost into our furnace tap. We could also technically put permafrost on cave-in so that it just sits in our hand and we never have to draw it after the first time. But we're drawing a lot every turn, so let's just put it in our furnace tap. And then we do -1 again on Wax and Spike, just so that it does, you know, as much as possible. Seems fine. We're probably way overthinking this run. This is Covenant 1, and we're just doing bonkers things. So we can get a spell rail spike or get a unit rail spike. I am totally fine with unit spiking a dreg. He's going to be huge for one turn and then gone. We don't care. Cool. We get to upgrade our champion again. Cool. Let's do... so we can either start putting extra damage shield in things, or we can just make things more damage. More damage. Always more damage. Come on. What do you think this is? A game where we actually have to care? That might be. Cred. That's fine. Primordium first turn. Let's go ahead and get ourselves an option. Nope. So the problem is he's mostly dead if we do this, but no, he's fine. 8 times 2 is only 16. So we're okay, we can do this. Totally fine. We can even cave in to give him an extra +5/+5. Nothing's going to get eaten this turn, but it'll sit in our hands, that's fine. Nothing is dead, that's fine. We don't want it next turn, that's fine. Immortal Trade, we do still have Ember things that we want to do. The only thing that hurts is getting that Remnant back that we'd have no idea what to do with right now. So, that's unfortunate. Come on, there it is. Crucible Warden is here. That thing is there. Okay. Totally fine, totally fine. We have all the Ember we could ever care about. Those guys are both dazed. Yep. That is in fact there. We can put a dreg here, we could put a dreg there. We can put this dreg here just because he's big and it's funny, and that's the last time we'll ever see that particular one. And all this one has to do is kill that thing. Then at this point, I think we just go ahead and wax and spike the bottom. Top is doing fine. Is it? Top is not doing fine. Top is doing the opposite of fine. Let's do... So if we do this, that adds +12 to these units. Saves us some health. Saves us some health. Are we drawing... Okay. Yeah. That's fine. Let's just go ahead and do this. That brings it up to 100. And at least we're getting to a point where we'll only take like, yeah, 30 damage. It's fine. Everything's dead here now. What do we care about? Do we care about putting space up here? Probably not. Space Prism is fine here. Let's divvy things up as appropriate. So let's go ahead and get our Furnace Tap in there so we can multi-strike. Let's go ahead and Wake Laksham, so now some Burnout unit. we can go ahead and these guys are dead, so no problem. So we can immortal trade. Is everything else free? Everything else is free because we can cast these two, and nothing else matters except for Revenant Pact. And even there, I think as long as we get this in there, we are done. So now we just start blinking. Nothing matters. And we can put a burnout unit here to start stacking. Cool. Alright, and obviously as things die up there, we're not going to matter as much. But we even got lucky here. We got our last thing there along with that. Cool. Those guys are dead, no problem. We've got enough of that. He's got a ×2, so obviously that's where we start doing this, and then we start stacking this. And then honestly, everything else we do is pretty much just like a victory lap. So let's get, you know, a little more damage there, a little bit of whatever here. And then we'll, you know, end turn. Okay, we got a little brief reprieve now, where we can cast our Wretch right after we get rid of most of the cards in our hand, because it's going to be silly how much units we get back, just the way we've played this. Look. Oh, it's not that bad. Okay, cool. Oh, that's right, because our planks didn't do any kills, so the only things that we got was from the one sacrifice we cast. Great! It's actually ideal. Actually ideal. You know, whatever. Nothing matters, nothing matters, nothing matters. Metallica song something or other. We are not dead because 25 × 2 is a lot of damage. So what we need to do is do some interesting things here. We need to sacrifice a unit and bring it out front. Is that a way to do it? No. Yeah, I didn't think about that. That's okay. I mean, the burnout unit's dying does kill that thing, so by the time it hits the top, it's only doing, you know, piddly amounts of damage, and we do a lot more than that. Okay. Okay. I wonder if this does damage. Because it's worth it if it does. It does. Okay. So we win then. I think we can win on the bottom floor, and I will show you why in just a second when I get rid of some of this junk in my hand. Okay. So we need those not to be in our hand so that we can think through the next part. Right. So he's still doing 25 × 2 damage. But if we hold over, burn out this guy, right? Okay. Then putting him here blows that thing up. No, it still doesn't work because he's got whatchamacallit, trample. So excess damage is dealt through to the back line. Well, that's okay. We might actually still be able to win if we start this guy being our tank now. Yeah, okay. So just by giving him 12 amounts of lifesteal, he'll start doing 25 × 1. So his first turn will kill both of these two, which is annoying and terrifying, but it's okay. So the first hit does that, and then from there he's only doing 25 damage one time, bringing the guy to 10, then he hits, heals himself back. No problem. Winning on the bottom floor is always nice, but not necessary, but it's fine. Feast is an interesting way for us to get rid of our Primordium faster, so we can bring it back faster, so I think that's actually fun. None of this matters. But, I mean, we're sitting on that Primordium like a lot, not doing anything with it, so there's a way for us to do something with it. Okay, what did we want to get rid of? We wanted to get rid of probably one of our immortal trades and maybe a dreg. Having 2 dregs was kind of nice. I don't think we need 2 immortal trades. Getting one that just does the big thing is good. We also don't need 2 planks, to be perfectly honest. That is just taking up a turn doing kind of nothing, so let's just not worry about that. Which at this point, then that means we can large stone her, because now there is only really, we're going to have one drag that we can kind of like sacrifice once, but then other than that, we just like leave it in the middle lane. So it's really just going to be Lady of the Reformed and this guy kind of sitting in the lane, and then one drag if we care. So her getting a ton of health that way seems super useful. This is probably our kill floor, so we look to just do as much as we can. Yep, so let's do a multi-strike on him. So he's going to actually have multi-strike 2 by the time it's all said and done, and we'll give him a little extra damage to start with as well, because that multiplies up nicely. Anything else we can do is pretty much just gravy. X cards get +3, you know, sure. We've got one X cost card. It's doing a thing. Let's go. We could even purge one drag if we wanted to. I don't know that we particularly need to. We could purge the other Plink. Sure. Okay. I think we're... Unless I'm misjudging the deck, I think we're just mega strong. I think most of this doesn't matter. The Combustible Wax certainly matters. The Commemorative Spike is certainly nice, but our biggest combo really is in our cards. The Crucible Warden with the Primordium, and the fact that we can bring it back with Feast, Wretch, Wicklash, Molded. All of those things can be used in some combination with each other to, you know, do absolutely nuts things. As long as they happen, we win. Okay, we're getting most of our units out on the first turn, looks like. We can't actually put the Paraffin Necroforcer out on the first turn, that's okay. It can sit there for a turn doing a thing. And in point of fact, I think we actually want to put this in front so that it dies and takes out the backline units. That seems fine. And then, you know, we'll probably just let it go. Him going up to the top is a tragedy, but one that we should be able to take care of pretty rapidly. We can get rid of our Remnant Pact real quickly just so that it doesn't worry us. And then we can do stuff like give ourselves extra energy. Great. So we're going to Wicklash this. Then we're going to Feast, which immediately gives him an additional 30 health, and so forth. Oh, dang. I did that wrong. I needed to Wax and Spike first. That's fine. We've already won, but... Curse you, missed optimization. Whatever. Everything else is free except for our last unit. We want to be able to cast him, so no putting Ember Drain on ourselves yet. This is verboten. And we'll put a drag out front just because. And then we'll smash it with a hammer. Again, just because. That guy does backline damage, so the only one we can do is that. We'll put this one here, we'll put this one here, just in case. Cool. Okay, we can't cast our Immortal Trade, that's totally okay. Come on, boys. Let's go. Paraffin Enforcer goes here. Yeah. Space Prism goes here. Yeah. Now we just get to see if we get to do the other thing. So what got eaten, what got used? Okay, so that got used, that got eaten, so great. So we can pull Wretch. We need to do this first. Okay, so Wicklash him first just to give ourselves space. And then we can go ahead and Furnace Tap him, because now we have our final unit out. Now everything else is fine. Everything else is fine. Wretch goes in. Primordium goes in. This goes in. Feast happens. This guy is, you know, annoying us, so what we do is we just pull out a drag, and then that becomes our sacrificial lamb to take out the back line. And I think we just do a ton of damage to the boss. Great. Let's give her some extra health and him another thing, just so that it happens. Yeah, okay, so this is where we start kind of just being silly. We can do pretty much whatever we want. This is on his last feed, so what we can do is we can Wake Lash him just to give some more stacks of burnout there. We can Feast, and then because he just got eaten, we can actually bring him back and put him out again. And this is something that we can just keep doing. And she can just keep getting more of those. We don't cast Sacrifice again. We don't need to. So if she ever goes back up to the top lane, I think she dies. Is I think our answer here. Right. Okay. So we're gonna Wake Lash this. We're gonna Feast here. We don't need to retch. We don't need to retch. So we can. At this point, we can go ahead and bring one of our dregs back. That seems fine. We'll go ahead and put him in the back so he can start getting rage. And obviously we can give her some ability to do some things. Once again, we don't think we need to sacrifice. Okay. Okay, she's up at the top. She's not currently taking any damage because there are no units out there. Once again, that's totally okay. What we get to do is we do Retch first, but first we have to get rid of a couple of cards just to make sure we don't accidentally do something silly. Let's Wake Lash this guy, so we're continually killing that stuff. Think we've got enough now. That's good. Now Primordium comes out. Feast happens. All these three are dead. And then we can pull this last little guy, and he acts as our sacrificial lamb to once again blow up the back line, and now we do 795 damage to the boss with these two. This guy is going to, let's go, hit that guy, and then his second hit is going to absolutely bludgeon her face. Yeah, that looks real pretty right there. Sure. And the rest of this game is super over. I mean, we're losing stacks of lifesteal left and right, and we just don't care. We just don't care. Once again, we can do our silly combo. Let's go feast everything away. Bring it right back. Come on. That damage, so good. We don't care about these spells. This boss is getting explosively deconstructed. I would love to see it get up to this top level. That's funny. It's just funny. It's got 204 health, which is, you know, a quarter of what she has. Okay, it's a fifth of what she has, but she does 10 times 3 damage, and I do 961 times 2. You know, one of these things is not like the other. That being said, we comfortably win this by a long shot. Off we go. Not even close, baby. Yeah, that went pretty cleanly. See how many points we get. Oh, is that it? We just got 43k. Yeah, 43k. Okay. So, you know, hey, we got the card flame unlocked. That was the thing we were looking for. Back to challenge. Probably didn't get in the top 10 this time. Nope. No, not close this time. 51. So we had a 200th place thing. We had a literal 10th place finish, which was pretty cool. And then our first attempt today was at a 51. We're not going to redo it. We could probably get to 52,000 by just not taking stupid damage to our core and losing a bunch of scores. Oh, we can even look at the run summary. Brilliant. So what'd they do? Never got rid of the dregs. They had a Votivary Entombed Explosive. Sure. Looks like they did the same thing to the Lady of the Reform that we did. They got a Paraffin Enforcer just the way we did, but they didn't upgrade it. Excavated Ember, so they did the same thing we did, except that he... removed Consume and made it cost +1. Okay. And then was using X cost damage spells. Cave-In he actually kept. Okay. And then a Furnace Tap and Intent on Death. Why the Intent on Death? Oh, because he put Entombed Explosive in the back and then just blew it up. Okay, I mean, that's fine. That's all frontline damage. But, you know, it's a thing. Looks like 17,000 points here. Okay, very cool. So this is one of the things you can do to actually kind of like learn from other players, and that's why I actually kept the stream running for this, so that you can see, you know, looking at this allows you to see, like, what does somebody else do that might be a valid strategy. And this is really, really cool. I mean, we didn't get to watch the run, so you can't see, you know, how they actually placed or played fights. But it certainly looks like what they did is they didn't focus on trying to have like 2 floors of kill. It looks like they had like 1 floor that they killed everything on. And in point of fact, they got a 9-turn boss rush on the last battle just by probably running Intent on Death over and over on the Forever Consume, or getting Forever Consumed, and then the Entombed Explosive hitting on that Intent on Death just every turn, and having that, you know, kind of bludgeon the boss to death. So certainly very effective. The Votivary also happening with the Intent on Death certainly means that they can maybe even do like a, you might be able to set up an infinite with that. I'm not sure, but it's possible. At the very least, you can probably run your deck most of the way through. No, because it wouldn't. Oh, right, because it's not dead. So yes, you could use that to just keep drawing things. I wonder if Exploding Candle counts. Well, it's not a burnout unit. Anyway, I'm just rambling now because I'm really interested at what this did, but I don't know exactly, but super cool. We got our thing done. Hopefully we learned something. I certainly did. I learned about kind of a cool way of using spells and abilities that I don't normally use. And, you know, even if you didn't learn something, maybe you still had fun. And with that, I'll catch you guys next time.